So like the Star Wars meme for werewolf stuff, right? For werewolf stuff, right?
I literally said out loud, I die!
Shomo loves the slow-mo.
I want to be a werewolf that flies.
It ain't weird yet. We're getting there.
Mediocre alpha at best.
Mediocre.
Just being able to find so much joy in Teen Wolf. Welcome to Return to Beacon Hills, a Teen Wolf rewatch podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Calissa Mullis, and I'm joined by
Kate Colvin
And Will Wallace.
Every week, we'll be watching and talking about the hit MTV series one episode at a time. And this week, we're talking about Season 3, Episode 9, The Girl Who Knew Too Much. If you're watching Teen Wolf for the first time and you're worried about spoilers, have no fear. This podcast is broken up in two sections, Alpha and Beta. The Beta section is for first-timers who are just now finding this awesome series and don't want to be spoiled about what's to come. The second section, Alpha, is where we go full spoilers and talk about not just the current episode, but the entire Teen Wolf series, as well as its place in the fandom. In the show notes of your podcast app of choice, you'll find time codes for the Alpha and Beta sections. If you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at RTBH Podcast. There, our Wolfie patrons will gain access to awesome exclusives like early access to episodes, full moon AMAs, the Beacon Hills Movie Club, where we watch and provide commentary for a movie starring the amazing cast of Teen Wolf and featuring the work of our talented crew, as well as guest video interviews in a monthly watch party. So head on over to patreon.com/RTBH Podcast and join the pack. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at RTBH Podcast and Tumblr and TikTok at Return to Beacon Hills. If you'd like to ask us questions or offer suggestions for future topics to discuss, you can email us at returntobeaconhills@gmail.com.
This week's episode is titled The Girl Who Knew Too Much. It was written by Jeff Davis and directed by Tim Andrew. In the episode, the Darach's gruesome sacrifices continue with a sheriff's deputy. Scott and Stiles learn about Ethan and Aiden's past, leading Scott to question Morell. Cora tries to avenge Boyd's death, but a mysterious illness derails her plans. Allison and Isaac use Chris's notes to track the killer. Darach comes back to see Jennifer, who plans a memorial recital at the high school that goes awry. Stiles finally tells his dad the truth. Unfortunately, Stilinski doesn't believe him, so he's unprepared when he crosses paths with the supernatural side of Beacon Hills. Lydia comes face to face with the Darach and learns about her supernatural powers.
Our favorite quote from this episode is, unsurprisingly, from Stiles. He says, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to break off an extra large branch of mountain ash, wrap it in wolfsbane, roll it in mistletoe, and shove it up your freaking..." But you'll all just have to use your imagination to figure out where Stiles was going to shove that extra large branch of mountain ash wrapped in wolfsbane and rolled in mistletoe, because Scott interrupts him.
Nose hole.
And our honorable mention is an exchange between Jennifer Blake and Lydia Martin. Jennifer says, "Lydia, I wasn't aware you had so many hidden talents." And Lydia says, "You and every guy I've ever dated."
Don't underestimate her.
I would like to ask Lydia, have you ever tried girls?
It's a very good question.
Cora's like, yes. Has she? What was the answer?
The episode begins with Tara Graham, a sheriff's deputy at Beacon Hills High School at night. The halls filled with darkness. Always a good sign.
Yeah.
She runs into a group of high schoolers, including Danny, and asks what they're doing at school this late.
Just chilling like kids do with the lights off.
Right? Why are they walking around in complete darkness?
Danny explains that they're practicing for tomorrow's recital.
Tara tells them there was a 911 call. They need to leave now, and if they see anyone else, they should tell that person the same thing.
And turn on some lights, damn it.
What was the 911 call about, though? All she told them was to tell anyone else they saw that they had to leave. What if they came upon the perp? Is there a perp?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like, was something on fire? Was like, I was going to call the fire department there, but like
anything.
There should be some sort of warning of like, yeah, watch out for mysterious people at night.
Yeah, it's like, all right, kids, y'all need to get out of here. Walk away, walk away. Oh, wait, and there's like a homicidal maniac on the loose. What? Way to bury the lead.
There's reports of a possessed doll walking around here. Tara tries to call dispatch, but hears strange chanting instead.
Damn it, Jerry. Are you playing Hans Zimmer over the radio again?
He just loves it so much.
Tara hears someone and pulls her gun.
Oh, she's going to mess someone up with that Beretta.
She sees a body being dragged into the next room.
Slappy Jr.?
It's a family curse.
They do love those shots of people being dragged off screen.
I do too. I love it. It's fun.
Tara proceeds into the next room, which turns out to be the locker room.
Someone is always in that shower.
It's a well-used shower.
Yeah.
She tells the unseen person to step out with their hands in the air, like they just don't care.
They also love these shots with the backlit fan spinning in the chiaroscuro.
The steam clears and Tara sees herself laying on the floor. She's the victim. And then the Darach attacks her, strangling her.
Why does Tara see herself? And why is this the only death where we see the Darach kill a sacrifice barehanded?
The earlier sacrifices made the Darach stronger? I'm not really sure. But why she sees herself, I guess this just kind of goes with what we've seen with previous sacrifices where people see things, you know, like the girlfriends in the woods saw the bugs, and then Stiles' best bathtub friend from when they were little saw all the breaking bottles.
Was it just some cello girl?
Too soon.
Her name was Heather. Yeah, I think it was just to disarm her so that she could catch her in a moment where she had let her guard down because she was freaked out. But why she decided to do it hands-on is beyond me. I don't really know what that was about.
I don't know.
Lydia calls Stiles, Allison, and Scott to the high school. She explains that the same thing that happened to her before has happened again. She got in her car intending to go one place and found herself someplace else instead. In this case, the high school.
Since Stiles told her to call him first in case of a dead body, she called them.
But this time she hasn't found a dead body yet. Given Stiles' reaction to the last one, she thinks it's his turn to find the dead body.
Stiles demands how they're supposed to do that.
Stiles, you're just being obtuse.
I'm sure Scott could smell a dead body, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Before Lydia can answer Stiles' question, Scott spots the body draped over the Beacon Hills High School sign.
Man, someone's gonna have to scrub that down tomorrow.
Time to get out the power washer.
I'm sure they have one for this exact purpose.
Yes.
When the sheriff's department arrives, Stiles tries to hide his face with his backpack, and it's adorable.
So smooth.
But
that part wasn't in the script, so I just wonder if that was Dylan O'Brien improv.
It's possible. But of course, Stilinski spots Stiles and says that he knows that Stiles is thinking about patterns and people dying in threes.
Murdered, Stiles specifies. Sacrificed, in fact.
But half the state, as well as the FBI, are investigating now, and the killer won't get away with murdering Tara.
So he did have a conversation about this with his dad off screen.
But not about the supernatural aspect of it.
Yeah.
But about the sacrifices part, did we actually see that conversation?
No, we see him having one with Melissa.
Yeah, I just feel like she does know about the supernatural, so the conversation with Stilinski would have been pretty different, and I feel like it would have warranted a scene.
Oh, definitely.
Wait, did he have that conversation with his dad before he asked Kyle's girlfriend about Kyle being a virgin and unleashed? Doesn't he share with his dad that he thinks they're virgin sacrifices, and Stilinski's just like, Stiles, stop. The FBI's here.
So I checked the transcript for Unleashed, and all Stiles says to his dad in that scene is that he's looking for a pattern, and that's why he's talking to Kyle's girlfriend. He never gets to the sacrifices part.
Okay.
Yeah. In the script, this scene is actually extended. After the sheriff tells Stiles to get to class, Scott and Stiles have a short interaction. With a nod, Stiles slips into the rush of students, hardly seeming to notice Scott stepping in at his side. Scott says, "Why does it feel like something's changing? Like all this is just getting worse?" Stiles replies, "You mean like time's running out?" Scott gives a worried nod, then says, "We need to figure out who's doing this." Stiles says, "Lydia said she saw a slashed up face. I don't know about you, but I haven't met anyone lately with massive open wounds all over their face." Scott says, "Yeah, but I think this thing gets into your head. Like it can make you see whatever it wants you to see." Stiles replies, "What if it's just another kind of shapeshifter?" Scott says, "Then it could be anyone." Pausing at the door of the building, Stiles throws a last glance back to find his father and the deputies leaving. Scott continues, "You okay?" Stiles says, "No, dude, I'm not. And you're right. Time's running out." Stiles steps in, leaving Scott at the door, shaken by his tone.
It's interesting.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I assume they just had to cut that for time.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's like a scene.
Why, if the Darach can make people see what they want to see, does she just let Lydia see her slashed up face? I wonder.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because that seems like just at least partially letting the cat out of the bag, right?
I guess, but I mean, it's not like you could figure anything out from just that face. It's just a face, you know?
True, but she seems to be pretty tightly cracking down on people knowing things. I mean, the title of the episode is The Girl Who Knew Too Much, and we already know she went after Danny for like researching telluric currents, even though we all established when we talked about that episode that there's no way anyone would have known anything about that but Harris, who was already in on it, because we can promise you that no one whose job wasn't dependent on hearing about that stuff was going to listen to Danny talk about it. And I say that fully knowing that everyone loves Danny, but their eyes would just glaze right the hell over. Sorry. I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
How does Scott know that the Darach makes people hallucinate? Has he read the script?
He's read the script and he saw the big whiteboard that had the whole season laid out.
No, I think it's maybe a case of another off-screen conversation that's very important, but we didn't see, because Deaton was just taken last episode, so there's a very good chance he hallucinated something.
Well, he saw the moths.
He saw the moths and stuff, so I think it's likely Deaton told him, but we didn't get that conversation because it was too important to have on screen. So I do think like he does have someone who had a first-hand account who did survive.
Yeah, I forgot Deaton.
Good point. Yeah.
At the Argent's apartment, Chris tells Allison, who's curled up in bed, that he heard about the school recital in honor of the losses.
Allison corrects him. They're murders, not losses.
A recital is a stupid way to honor the dead. You'll wish that you're one of those dead people by having to go listen to a bunch of high school students play at a recital.
Oh, God. And one of those high school students is world's perfect person, Danny. So let's calm down.
So at least one aspect of that recital is going to be perfect.
Yes. You can just see there's like later everyone's in the audience and like Danny does a little solo and everyone's like, this is very good. Everything else is shit, but he was very good.
Chris offers to take Allison to the recital, but she says she doesn't feel up to it.
Chris says he understands and tells her not to worry about school right now. As soon as he leaves, Allison throws back the covers, revealing she's fully dressed.
I love this outfit.
Right?
It's a good one.
I especially love those tights.
Allison hears a suspicious sound near her window. She grabs a ring dagger.
Now armed, she slowly goes over to the window.
The shots throughout this scene are great. Classic, beautiful Teen Wolf slow-mo. This whole approaching the window sequence, I love.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
She could totally be a Slayer. Also, I gotta get me one of those ring daggers. I would immediately stab myself, but
yeah, I think they're hard to wield.
And I also am just very clumsy. Allison grabs the intruder and pins him to the floor, ring dagger at his throat, before she realizes it's Isaac.
He admits that Scott sent him because he was worried about Allison not being at school. Allison says she can take care of herself. Isaac assures her that he's noticed more than once.
Got a fear boner right here, right now.
Well, I was gonna say like she could just slide that ring dagger down or something, but he could make it spin. So
oh my God, that's an image. That is by definition an image.
Like.
Meanwhile, in Miss Blake's class, Lydia sketches the same tree as before.
Ms. Blake says she didn't know Lydia had so many hidden talents. Lydia retorts that the same is true of the guys Lydia has dated. Ms. Blake says that's an example of an idiom.
Is it?
Yeah, what?
An idiom is a language-specific expression of which the deeper layer of meaning isn't obvious based on the face value meanings of the words themselves. So what Lydia is saying is quippy, but it's not idiomatic. I mean, Ms. Blake and every guy she's ever dated are all unaware of Lydia's hidden talents. That's what it says on the tin. That's what it means. That's not an idiom.
She's not a very good English teacher. She's like, no one's really listening, right? Lydia's the only smart one, and she's drawing, so she has no audience here.
To your point, definitely not listening to their teacher, Scott and Stiles discuss the Alpha twins. Scott thinks he can get Ethan to talk. The only problem is getting through Aiden. In the hallway, Aiden tries to dissuade Ethan from continuing to see Danny. He reminds Ethan that they're not actually high school students.
They see themselves right there, guys.
It's true.
The proof is in the pudding.
It is. The twins are only here to eliminate a threat, Aiden says. He accuses Ethan of actually starting to like Danny.
Duh.
Yeah, duh.
Impossible not to like Danny.
That's national treasure, Danny.
Do you think Nicolas Cage is going to come steal him?
He better not.
I would watch that.
Not today, Nicholas.
That's an amazing movie. He like turns the Declaration of Independence over and it's just a picture of Danny. And he's like, yeah, I get it.
How did the founding fathers know?
Aiden asked whether Ethan could follow through if Deucalion asked him to kill Danny.
Ethan asks whether Aiden could follow through if Deucalion asked him to kill Ethan.
Do you think if Aiden did kill Ethan, that he'd absorb the power and be able to be super alpha on his own?
Maybe.
That would make sense.
Aiden threatens Danny if Ethan won't break it off. On a similar topic, Stiles says that the twins are almost always together, so how is Scott going to separate them? Their attention turns to Lydia, who can only ask, what now?
I love her delivery of that.
Absolutely. They have Lydia distract Aiden to get him away from Ethan.
So now they've told her that he's a bad guy and they need her?
I guess.
Well, she knows by now.
I mean, does she? No one's actually said that to her.
We commented on that in a previous episode when Ethan admitted to Scott that they were using Danny and Lydia. Scott didn't tell her that.
In Frayed, I took it that Allison had told Lydia, and that's why Lydia was pretending that she wasn't hooking up with Aiden.
That was before the one where Ethan admitted they were using Lydia.
Right, but she did know that he's in the Alpha Pack. She learns that in Unleashed, which was right before Frayed. She may or may not know that they were using her, but she knew the Alpha twins were evil.
See, that's what I wasn't sure of. Did she know what they had done before Boyd's death? Like, the only piece of information we know for sure she got was that they're alpha werewolves, and she got that information several episodes after everyone else.
If she did have all the information, then that would mean that up to this point, she's been having sex with a murderer who she knows wants to kill people she cares about. I mean, isn't that terrible?
Well, as far as we know, they only got to like second base, but I mean, yeah, I don't think it's great writing, but I think it's the arc they're trying to give her, because as of this episode, she starts to say that she knows she's something special and she wants to use her power to do something good and something special, and she doesn't want to be with a bad guy.
That could be intentional on the writer's part. I'm just not sure because we don't actually see anyone telling her all the information, nor do we have her talking about that information ever up until this episode. Kind of what we were talking about before with like whether information is disclosed off screen or not. Like, everyone else talks about it, but not Lydia. We only ever see her learning that Aiden is an alpha. We don't even see any other characters talking about the Alpha Pack in her presence before this point. In terms of what they actually show, it's equally possible that she doesn't know a lot of that context until now, that they just didn't deign to tell her everything until Boyd died, which sounds really far-fetched until you remember that that's the entire premise of season 2.
With Aiden distracted, Scott and Stiles approach Ethan.
Ethan asks why Scott is even talking to him when he helped kill his friend. Isn't Scott afraid he'll kill another one? Stiles takes this as a very personal threat.
Scott tries to defuse the situation, saying that he knows Ethan didn't want to kill Boyd.
Ethan says that Scott doesn't understand what they owe the Alpha Pack, especially Deucalion. When the Alpha Pack met Ethan and Aiden, they weren't alphas.
They were bitches. And actually in the original script, Stiles like repeats that they were bitches, and he gets like a very amused chuckle out of it.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Ethan and Aiden were Omegas, forced to endure the abuse of the rest of the pack.
Oh, so they do that in packs? Or maybe just in asshole packs?
Yeah, it's weird because previously they had defined Omegas as lone wolves. Like in the episode Omega, they say an Omega is a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lydia successfully distracts Aiden, but their sexy times are ruined when she brings up the fact that he killed Boyd. Aiden points out that Darach and Boyd had tried to kill her, a fact that Lydia was unaware he knew. She asks how he found out about that, but before he can answer, a spiral is sliced into the window pane of the office. Aiden thinks it is Darach coming to get him, but it turns out to be Cora. How did Aiden find out about this fact?
The grapevine would have to have gone Scott, Deaton, Morel, Aiden. Right? Like,
That's
I can't think.
such a game of telephone there.
Yeah, but like, I literally can't think of any other sequence of people where I would be like, yes, I believe that person would tell this other person that. Like, I believe Scott would tell Deaton that. I believe Deaton would tell Morel that because he's useless. And I believe that Morel would tell the Alpha Pack that.
Yeah.
I don't think I even believe that Morel and Dean tell each other anything. I think it's like almost like a weird game to them where they just don't tell each other anything important.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they both know about stuff. They just don't talk about it on screen, or like they only allude to it on screen, because Deaton knew the Alpha Pack was coming before they got there. He just didn't tell Scott.
Yeah.
And I feel like Morel would have had to be the one to tell him. That makes the most sense to me, which means
he didn't see the symbol, so maybe he knew what the symbol was, because they were leaving that symbol around town. Hey guys, we're coming down.
I mean, so was Deaton just like going by the Hale house just in case?
I mean, he should. Someone should.
Well, remember,
Everything
Deaton's useless. Deaton's useless.
Well, no, to be fair to Deaton, he made a promise to Talia that he never kept. So one day he was like, oh shit, I made a promise. I need to swing by there, see if anything happened recently.
They still would have had to talk about it though, because Morel would have to know that he knew.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he would have to know that she knew, because at no point in that scene was either of them like, wait, you know about that too? How do you know about that? So I feel like they definitely talk off screen and we just don't ever hear about it, which is why they shared screen time for so long before we even knew that they were siblings.
Yeah.
In the original script, there's an extra line where she says, how do you know about that? Pulling back from him, I never told you that. So I feel like she's supposed to be like pretty unnerved by this fact, but then it doesn't actually come up again later.
Yeah, well, I do feel like her being really unnerved by that doesn't quite come across in the episode, just because that bit isn't in there, and they cut so quickly to the whole like, oh, Darach's here, which turns out to be Cora, but like there isn't like a beat to really stew in the actual episode.
Yeah.
So I feel like it doesn't, that sense of her being really freaked out by it doesn't come across as much. Like we blew right past it when we were watching the episode.
Yeah.
None of us said anything at that point.
Yeah. More information that needed to be in a conversation on screen. Ethan continues to explain to Scott and Stiles that their previous alpha was the worst of their former pack. Ethan and Aiden didn't know how to form what Stiles calls Voltron Alpha yet, so they couldn't fight back. Deucalion taught them how.
How did Deucalion figure that out?
Oh, I would kill to be a fly on the wall for that discovery, dude.
I wish I could do like a proper Deucalion voice. It's like, now have you tried inserting your fist into your brother's back?
For werewolf stuff, right? Yes.
No, like the Star Wars meme, for werewolf stuff, right? For werewolf stuff, right?
Yes. Yes.
Ethan explains how he and Aiden killed the rest of the pack, including their alpha and emissary.
It was the same with Ennis and Kali. Only Morel, Deucalion's emissary, escaped death. Ethan suddenly cries out in pain, interrupting the conversation. It's Aiden, he says.
They find Aiden in a fight with Cora, which Cora loses. Ethan reminds Aiden that even though Cora started the fight, Aiden can't touch her because Deucalion gave Darach until the next full moon.
I wonder why she came after you. That's what happens when you murder somebody.
In the description of the script, it says, the barbell plate clatters to the floor. Stiles takes a protective step in front of Cora, as well as a moment later, a few feet away, Cora barely seems able to hold herself up on the floor while Stiles and Scott stand ready to defend her. And I just thought that was really sweet, like Stiles stepping in again, even though he has no werewolf powers, ready to stand up against an alpha to protect Hale.
Yeah.
Who's not even particularly nice to him.
Oh no.
Like all Hales.
Like all the other Hales.
Like all Hales, yeah.
Yeah. He'll throw himself in front of a bullet for a Hale.
At the Argent's apartment, Allison shows Isaac her dad's map tracking the sacrifices. Isaac asks if she thinks her dad is the killer, and she says no. At least she hopes he isn't.
I really like his jacket.
They both have great jackets. Barbara does such a good job.
Yeah, her jacket's great, and she does.
I would wear the shit out of that whole outfit.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Allison expresses some suspicion that her dad could be the killer here, given that we saw her showing this map to Scott previously, and there was never any mention of them thinking he actually did it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's weird she thought he might have done it at all. I know her family keeps a lot of secrets, and her grandfather turned out to be super evil, but...
And her mom tried to kill Scott, and her aunt murdered loads of people.
Still, I guess, but that's a pretty good point.
Allison's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, and then thrice, and then 4 times. Probably shame on me at that point.
Just assuming everyone in her family is a murderer now.
I mean...
There's more dialogue here in the original script. Isaac says, just trying to put all the cards on the table. So how can he be a hunter and a druid? Allison says, from what my grandfather said, Isaac says, okay, hold on. Again, your grandfather's still alive? Allison replies, he's in a home, in a wheelchair. Isaac says, not as comforting as if he was dead, but fine. Back to your dad. Druid or not druid? Allison says, he knows a lot about them, maybe enough to learn some of their tricks.
This is such a standout example because it got cut, where Isaac's like, hold up, Gerard's alive? Because we don't actually see anybody learn that information. Like, we see Scott going there with her, but we don't actually even see the scene where she's like, so about Gerard, remember that master plan of yours? It didn't totally work and he's not dead.
Those cards are not all on the table.
No, that's true. That's true.
Isaac says they should take a step back and look at things from a higher level to see the complete picture. His attention turns to the table underneath the map, which features a Celtic 5-fold knot.
Under a black light, they find the 5 circles in the symbol are marked with words: virgins, warriors, healers, philosophers, and guardians.
Did Chris buy that table for this specific purpose?
Maybe he did that woodworking himself, took it up as a hobby after his wife died.
Yeah.
In the script, it says Isaac meets Allison's frightened gaze, both of them seeming to understand the implication. Argent may indeed be the killer, the Darach. I just don't feel like they did a very strong job of setting up the possibility that Chris was the Darach. It feels like this is something they believe for like 2 scenes, and it just feels like a waste of those scenes.
It's weird.
It's not a good red herring, just because it's a red herring for, like you said, a couple of scenes over several episodes, but it's never like, no one's ever like, shit, could it
But it
actually
isn't over
be?
several episodes because
like
the first time
commented on the first time.
Yeah, they don't comment on it at all.
No, you're right. Yes. Again, still terrible red herring where it's like, do you think your dad did it? He might have. Oh, wait, no, he didn't.
Like
you know, where it's like,
later,
yeah, there's like, it's cheap drama, you know, like it's nothing. Like it just doesn't. Yeah.
It's a pet peeve. I hate that a lot whenever it's like a red herring for a 5-minute span. That nothing annoys me as much in shows because it's just such a waste of time. I mean, if something like really important happens in that short span, okay, like they kill someone because they think that they're a red herring and then it turns out they're not. It's like, okay, yeah, that maybe they didn't think that for very long, but something really important happened because of this thought. When there's no consequences and something they believe for 2 scenes, it's like, yeah, why did you even bother setting this up?
Yeah,
Right.
It kind of feels, at least in this instance, a little bit like filler, where it's like, we need characters to do things.
But
and that's it.
Has Teen Wolf ever needed filler?
I mean,
They
we've
cut
already
things
seen like,
constantly.
we've already seen like 2 other scenes in this episode that were cut that we felt like could have been important to put
Included
in there.
and would actually have been interesting to include.
Yeah. Do you think the writers were maybe thinking of this stuff being the tail end of like maybe of like this little baby arc that started with Chris saying, hey, we don't need to keep secrets anymore. And then how we do have like No, because then they pay all that off. I was gonna say because and then Chris is like, Allison, I gotta go do stuff. I'm leaving, and then he leaves. But but then we see exactly what he does.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're not losing time or anything.
Yeah.
So it's yeah.
I mean, I feel like they just really want their paths to cross, realizing like they're both hunting the Darach, but I don't feel like she really needs to think he's the killer for that. I think that she can just realize he's also hunting the Darach. Maybe she thinks he's gathering information but not acting on it, and she's willing to act on it.
Yeah. Still healing, Cora accuses the others of failing to take care of things. All they do is show up late and find the bodies.
Burn.
Yeah, damn, Cora.
Burn like that Hale house.
Oh.
Whoa. Cora storms off. Stiles says she's definitely a Hale. He'll make sure she gets home.
I'm just going to take her home to Darach. It's fine.
Why do you need to make sure she gets home? She's 100 times stronger than you.
He just wants to follow the Hales home. Do you mind?
I'd like to point out this is now the second time Stiles has commented on how similar she is to Darach.
So in the script, there's an extra scene with Coach here after Lydia and Stiles leave. Lydia looks to Scott and he gives her a nod to go as well. While she leaves, Scott turns back to the office door and the spiral in the window. The door slams open, startling him. Coach hurries out, shaking out vitamins from a bottle. Coach says, "What's wrong with you?" Scott says, "I think 2 more people are going to be killed, and I don't think I'm going to be able to stop it." Coach says, "We all got issues. Talk it over with the guidance counselor." As Coach grabs a half-empty bottle of water from an open locker, Scott slowly looks up. "Scott, I think I will."
I feel like vitamins should be in quotes there.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
He grabs that like half empty bottle of water from an open locker, like just some random kid's locker.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to know. Like, is he just taking someone's water?
It's interesting that they were going to have a scene with Coach here, but then he's on the episode at all.
Yeah, no.
Outside the high school, Darach waits for Jennifer.
Oh, Stiles is going to get jealous when he sees this.
He's going to be so disappointed when he follows Cora home and Darach's not there. If Cora was like inside getting like pummeled and then like taken to the parking lot at the same time, Darach's like on the property, like meeting up with his girlfriend, does he not like hear a heartbeat or anything?
I feel like that's just, it's like plot convenience skill.
Yeah, it's just one of those things when you give someone extraordinary powers, then it's like, well, it just ruins all drama. And not even drama, where stuff like this, where it's like something is happening to someone you care about, but you don't know it. You're not hearing their heartbeat. You're not getting their scent or this or that, So it's just like, I don't approve, but I get it. I get it when it comes to story stuff sometimes. Jennifer asks where he's been, saying that needing to be alone for a while is the single worst excuse ever. After a moment, she apologizes.
Good. That's a shitty thing to say given what happened.
Yeah.
Jennifer tells him about the recital she put together for tonight to honor the school's losses. She asks him if it sounds stupid.
And indeed, it does.
Actually, Darach says it sounds perfect.
Why? Oh, she should just ask him if he can play the triangle.
Darach's just being nice, which is strange for him. He's good, but not nice.
Right. They kiss.
Oh, God, it just keeps going.
Yeah. There's even more in the original script. Jennifer says, "What are you going to do? I mean, where are you going to be?" And Darach says, "Waiting for you." She nods and kisses him again, holding her lips to his for a long moment. Finally, she pulls away, and Darach watches her hurry back to the school. As the wind hurtles through the tunnel again, however, even he can't help but shiver.
It just doesn't feel like, okay, sanity check. Is it just because I don't ship them that I feel like this just doesn't sound like Darach at all?
I feel like this is an example that I feel like they tried to do, but it wasn't very well established, that she's in control of him, like she's controlling him. Oh. Because we see like, her talking about like, oh, I should have like taken philosophers sooner. She's showing like the different things she's achieved by taking healers and everything. And she kisses the sheriff when she says, "and virgins." And I feel like it's like, about like sexual control is like what the virginity thing is about. And I feel like that's what's happening here with Darach, because yeah, it seems weird for him to just be like, Yeah, I'll just be like waiting here for you. I know he had like an episode to grieve about Boyd, but I feel like he'd still want to be at like Cora's side, making sure she wasn't doing anything stupid, wanting to like be more on top of what was happening with the Alpha Pack instead of just being like, I'm going to wait around for you while you're at school. And everything. It feels so out of character that I feel like it has to be love spell.
That is super sad.
It is sad. I buy it. So I think that makes complete sense because you're right. You look at this scene and you're like, what? That's not Darach at all. He doesn't do stuff like that.
I feel like she gives him just enough agency to make him feel like it's his choices.
Yeah.
Like, so he doesn't like realize, yeah, that's happening because she's not like overdoing it, but like, yeah, he just has like enough agency to like mostly be himself, except for when it comes to her.
Based on her saying the philosopher's thing, you get the sense that each round of sacrifices gives her a particular power,
right,
that is somehow related to the organizing principle of that round of sacrifices, and that there's this sense that there's sex magic attached to having killed the virgins, which is also supported by the whole like healing him during sex anyway.
Yeah.
But it also makes what was already not a consensual situation somehow less consensual.
But I do feel like it makes sense as to why Darach would have even gone along with it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's in a vulnerable place anyway, but it just feels like he would have been more opposed to being touched.
While Scott goes to talk to Morel, Allison relays what she and Isaac learned to Stiles.
The picture of her on his phone is so funny.
Oh, hey, Matt took that one too.
He took it right after she made the bestiality comment.
Allison theorizes that the deputy was considered a guardian sacrifice, so Stiles should warn his dad. Stiles enlists Cora's help in telling his dad the truth.
We so rarely get interior Jeep shots.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's a reason for that?
Because I mean, it's a lot of production, especially at this point. I mean, to do something like that, it's like, I mean, you got to get the Jeep, you got to put it on a process trailer, you got to take it out to a road, you got to shut down that road, you got to hire people to be in cars, and it's a thing. Later in the show, and there's pictures of it on Instagram, I think Jeff's even put some up for the movie, is we got a whole bunch of basically super high quality TV screens and built a wall so you could put a car on the stage and second unit will go out and film a plate of like what it would look like outside of a car if somebody was driving it, and then just put that on the screen behind them, and it just saved a whole bunch of time and money to do it. And it
That's really
good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Morel tells Scott she's not the one killing people.
That's exactly what a killer would say.
She sure as hell can enunciate.
Just like a killer.
Definitely like a bad guy from this show.
Yeah.
From the original script, Morel says, "You think I'd sacrifice my own brother's life?" Scott says, "You didn't seem that close to me." Morel says, "We've had our differences, not enough to make me want to kill him." Scott says, "So who do you want to kill?"
Ooh, Scott getting sassy. In fact, Morel claims that she's the one standing between Deucalion and the lives of Scott's friends.
She's the one pulling the leash taut when the Alpha Pack wants a bite.
Well, that hasn't worked.
Yeah, Morel, people are dead.
That explains why I didn't remember the rationale behind Morel working with the Alpha Pack. It is thin. It is very thin.
Very thin.
Morel explains that Deucalion wants a true alpha in his pack, and he thinks that's Scott.
He's got to collect them all.
Putting her psychologist hat on, Morel diagnoses Deucalion as an obsessive who either wants Scott to join his pack willingly or wants to force Scott to become a killer and destroy his potential to be a true alpha.
So you can't stay a true alpha if you turn into a shitty person, right?
Yeah, I feel like that would kind of defeat the purpose and you'd lose it immediately.
If the obsessive can't have the object of his desire, he'll destroy it instead.
Yeah, Scott, watch a Lifetime movie sometime.
Matt and Deucalion would have gotten along just fine. Scott says neither of those things will happen. He won't join the pack as a true alpha or kill anyone.
I refuse to be good enough to be a true alpha. I'll be right down the middle.
Mediocre alpha, at best.
Mediocre! Yes.
Merle tells him not to be so sure. Deucalion is 10 steps ahead of him.
You're so unhelpful.
She's definitely from the same family as Deaton.
Can you imagine what family dinner was like with them?
Oh, God, that sounds awful.
It was probably similar to what family dinner was like in the Nigma household.
Haha.
Good one. Also, this is like the season of chess references.
A Beacon Hills high school teacher notices a 5-fold Celtic knot drawn on his chalkboard.
Hey, it's Rusty Smith. That's the first production designer we had on the show.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah, that's fun. You'd think the Darach could make more perfect circles than that.
You call those magic circles?
He drops the chalk and it goes rolling, landing at Lydia's feet. She picks up the piece of chalk, goes into the now deserted room, and writes a 2 in one of the circles of the Celtic knot. Then she screams.
I love that shot.
Oh, it's very Spike Lee. It's great.
Lydia tries to convince Jennifer to call the police to report the teacher missing. Jennifer says all they know so far is that Mr. Westover didn't show up for class. Lydia claims to be psychic, of which Jennifer is skeptical. Lydia retorts that she's something.
Jennifer's seen all sorts of shit, but she's skeptical when it comes to Lydia being psychic.
Yeah.
Believe in werewolves, don't believe in psychics.
Wonder why.
Meanwhile, Stiles tries to figure out how to tell his dad about the supernatural.
Cora, just show him your teeth.
There's a photo back there of Posey and D.O.B. that I'm pretty sure was taken on their way to Comic-Con one year.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, it's cute.
So Stiles gets out a chessboard.
It's weird that he keeps it in his room when he told Jennifer that his dad plays, but not him.
It's because there's a theme to this episode, looking at the whole board.
Yeah, it's not heavy-handed at all.
Mm-mm.
Allison and Isaac find a new mark on the map and decide to go looking for the next sacrifice.
The scene is slightly longer in the script. Allison takes a picture of the map with her phone and folds up the Telluric map. Isaac says, "I'm going with you." Allison says, "It's my father. It's not like he's going to kill me too." Isaac says, "Would you have said the same thing about Gerard?" Now she pauses. Then she says, "I'll drive."
I would have loved to have that scene.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The man makes a solid point.
He does. Back at the Selinsky house, the sheriff tries to understand what Stiles is telling him. His friend Deaton, the veterinarian, is the Canema?
Are you guys friends? Did Deaton say you're friends or work acquaintances?
Sad.
Because you just keep going there pretending he can be a consultant.
Stiles corrects him that Deaton is a druid, they think. He explains about the werewolves, the hunters, Jackson, the Darach, who they think was slashed up by werewolves and left for dead. Why did they think that?
They read the script. I think it was just from learning that emissaries belong to a pack. And because the Alpha pack is also in town, and like because the Darach has the wounds, was slashed up by werewolves, and might be connected to the Alpha pack. It's all just
so they've basically, after the conversation, Scott and Stiles have theorized that the Darach is the former emissary of one of the Alpha pack members from before they joined the Alpha pack. And that's based on the fact that druids are generally emissaries in the modern supernatural world to werewolf packs. And so that's like that's like their best theory for how to explain the unlikely coincidence of the Alpha pack showing up at the same time as a murderous druid.
Yeah, yes. It is quite the werewolf leaf across a chasm.
Stilinski asks why Jackson was the Canema. Stiles says it's because sometimes the shape you take reflects the person you are.
Oh, that's what Derek told me.
Jackson was a piece of shit. You met him. Come on.
Stilinski gets angry and tries to end the discussion. Stiles asks Cora to show him.
Should have led with this, buddy.
But before Cora can shift, she collapses.
Of course she's too weak to turn after this 9-hour conversation. Don't bury the lead, buddy. You give the proof, then you explain it.
Yep.
Allison and Isaac get to the location where they think they'll find the next sacrifice.
Hey, that's a power plant over in Glendale, I think.
Isaac asks if they should call Scott. Allison says to stay behind her and stay quiet.
Yeah, do stay behind her. Last time she had that ring dagger, she stabbed the shit out of you.
Oh.
Don't turn your back on her.
Exactly. Her outfit is amazing, though.
She's got that going for her.
She's dressed to kill.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
They encounter the Darach, the victim, Mr. Westover, and Chris Argent.
He knows how to reload quickly.
Darach gets away and the victim dies.
I think Chris might have shot him. He was shooting all over the place.
Allison calls Scott and relays that they were wrong. It's not guardians, as in law enforcement, it's philosophers, as in teachers.
As it turns out, Tara was a teacher before she was a deputy. The next sacrifice is likely to be a teacher, too.
Stiles points out that there are dozens of them.
Dozens!
I didn't notice it the other times I watched it, but how they actually set this up with Stiles saying that she used to help him with his math homework whenever he was stuck at the station waiting for his dad. Actually set something up.
Yeah, well done, show. Allison and Chris argue about the lies they've been telling each other, with Chris saying that he might have caught the Darach if it weren't for Isaac and Allison.
Those pesky kids.
Isaac reminds them that now probably isn't the time. There's still one more teacher sacrifice coming, and all the teachers are going to the recital.
Okay, but who's the important teacher? Harris is already dead. Were there any others that we even know the names to?
There's only one more with a name.
Yep.
While at the hospital with Cora, Stiles continues trying to get his dad to take the supernatural threats seriously, but Stilinski refuses.
Here it comes.
Stiles says that his mom would have believed him.
Oh, playing the mom card.
Hurts
So sad.
much.
Meanwhile, the school prepares for the recital.
Slow-mo, slow-mo, slow-mo.
Oh, I love it. Love it so much.
The show loves it too. The show-mo loves the slow-mo. Ethan helps Danny tie his tie.
Only Danny can pull off a tie with a short sleeve shirt.
But can he?
No, not really.
Ethan also gives Danny an icebreaker.
Minty fresh breath. I forgot you guys also had some icebreakers up in there.
He tells Danny that if anything happens, he should find Ethan first.
I like how Danny doesn't even ask questions. Find you? Yeah. Okay. Seems legit.
Scott is surprised that Lydia is staying for the recital. She says that maybe if she stops fighting her powers, she'll be able to find someone before they get killed, and someone like Scott will be able to do something about it.
Coach has a line here in the original script. He says, McCall, take a seat. It's not going to be that bad. Oh, yeah. So they actually had like two little coach bits here originally, but those I suppose were cut for time.
Yeah. Scott says that if Lydia gets him the time, he'll do something about it.
At the same time, Darach is glued to Cora's bedside in the hospital and promises not to leave again.
I'm pretty sure Cora's out of commission because Adelaide Kane was in Scotland filming the Rain pilot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
My sister loved that show.
Yeah, you throw a character in a coma when they got to go film something else.
Despite his lack of a court order, Melissa agrees to show an old patient file to Sheriff Stilinski that had slash marks all over the body.
Melissa McCall!
Just remember that it will not be admissible in court.
Interesting fact, the patient photo we see is Teen Wolf writer Moira McMahon. She wrote an episode called Silverfinger next season.
Oh,
Aw.
that's so fun. I love that you guys stick writers and behind the scenes people up in there.
Yeah, because we were writing 3B when this was filming.
Lydia gets a mysterious text from Aiden saying to meet him because it's life or death.
She leaves the recital room.
Okay, guys, why does Aiden turn around here to look at her? It just seems like really convenient timing, considering the text isn't from him.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, he turns and almost gives her like a little nod,
Yeah, he really does.
but there's no reason for that.
Yeah.
You're not
Also,
wrong.
I think it's weird that she decides like to go meet him. For one thing, does she even get like a location to go meet him? But like, even so, it's weird that I feel like she sees him still in there and doesn't wait for him to get up to go meet him.
Meanwhile, Aiden realizes he's lost his phone.
Yeah, it's just so weird Lydia went alone to meet him.
Right,
Like,
without
Scott's
telling
right
anyone.
there. Like, Scott could have easily gone with her.
Melissa relays that while the patient was in the OR, hundreds of birds flew into the walls and windows, like a mass suicide or a mass sacrifice, Stilinski thinks.
For what, Melissa asks. Not what, Stilinski says. Who?
Whom?
Well, he's not an English teacher.
You might argue neither is Ms. Blake.
Ooh.
Lydia's text, supposedly from Aiden, turns out to be a trap by the Darach. Lydia comes face to face with the killer, Jennifer Blake. Bum, bum, bum.
Big reveal.
I feel like you guys worked hard to make it a mystery, except like there are no options besides Jennifer.
Yeah, that's the problem with, I was going to say having so few named characters, but we have like a million named characters on the show. But you're right. She's the only person who it could be at this point. There needs to be another person who's a real red herring, who all the evidence is pointing to, so that everyone, including the audience, believes it is Argent 100%. They have him dead to rights, but actually it was Jennifer the whole time. And then we figure it out that, oh, Jesus Christ, we were wrong, blah, blah, blah. All that. But at this point, it's like, well, there's only one character left.
Right. And I feel like if they wanted Chris to be a real red herring, not only would they have to believe that for longer, but we would want the reveal of who the Darach really is to happen before we've actually eliminated Chris. Like by the time we get to that scene, we've already had the scene with Allison and Chris.
Yeah.
I feel like if that were a real red herring, we shouldn't know that Chris isn't the Darach right up until the moment where we see who the Darach really is.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have made a lot more sense to have Morel be the red herring.
Yeah.
Because they know she's a druid. So far, nothing has been done to the Alpha Pack to make it think that the Darach is working against them. And
except that they've read the script.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like,
because they jumped to that conclusion that it had to be one of the dead emissaries instead of the living one.
Right. Yeah. But if the writers had, like, going just off what has actually happened, it would have made way more sense to say they don't know anything about Morel. I just feel like it makes a lot more sense than, because we don't know what the Darach wants at this point in time.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's true.
If there was something that would make sense that Chris wanted.
If we knew a little bit earlier about the whole, like, a druid or a Darach can gather new powers using sacrifices, it could have been that he was gathering powers for necromancy to bring Victoria back.
Yeah.
It's
like at least something, or
it's something.
Like, yeah, I just feel like for them to have a strong suspicion that it's Chris, they should believe that there's a reason why he'd be doing it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, they only applies to Allison and Isaac, because by this point, Scott and Stiles have come up with their new theory.
I think Liz is completely correct. Like, Morel is like the perfect choice to have as your red herring throughout the entire season.
Those are some heels Lydia has to run around in. I would break an ankle.
No kidding.
The music at the recital intensifies, sounding like the rhythmic chanting associated with the Darach.
Hey, there's Dino, the composer of our show's ridiculously amazing score and probably the greatest opening credit song of all time.
That's so fun.
These musicians aren't students, though, right?
Right.
So she just set up a recital with some students and some randos?
She must have been taught by Hale with all this drama she's bringing in. Scott uses his wolfy vision to look for Lydia.
So Scott can see as a wolf whenever he wants to. Is that a new thing that we have?
Season 1 had alpha vision and rage vision, right?
Yeah, we've had different versions of the vision, I guess. Not exactly like this, though.
With Lydia as a captive audience, Jennifer explains the etymology of the word sacrifice, an offering to a deity, a sacred rite, a necessary evil.
She can't stop because she knows the Alpha Pack so well, and Lydia, unfortunately, knows too much.
What does she know that's so problematic? Besides archaic and classical Latin, meaning she definitely didn't need that etymology lesson.
Well, Lydia pointed them to the fact that Mr. Westover was missing before the Darach had even killed him.
Oh, right.
So I think Jennifer saw Lydia as potentially standing in her way in terms of the sacrifices.
At the recital, a piano wire snaps and strikes a teacher, the last of the 3 philosopher sacrifices.
I guess that was like a redo of the original idea when the music teacher was going to get slashed by the piano wires, but they cut it for budget and time.
It looked pretty cool.
Lydia screams. Jennifer realizes that Lydia has no idea what she is, a banshee. Before she can finish strangling Lydia, Stilinski comes in, gun drawn.
Maybe she shouldn't have tried to do 2 things at once.
As Ron Swanson once said, never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing.
Words to live by.
Indeed.
Stilinski shoots Jennifer in the leg, but she just heals. He realizes that Jennifer is the slashed up patient whose file Melissa showed him.
Jennifer says maybe she should have started with philosophers, with knowledge and strategy, Healers, warriors, guardians, virgins, the sacrifices increased her power.
Not sure why she went with virgins. The others make sense.
She started with the classic.
It does seem like she should have started with philosophers with strategy and knowledge to work along with her plan. Jennifer pins Stilinski to the wall and kisses him.
Her face turns into the scarred face of the Darach.
Don't you hate it when you're making out with someone and then you find out they look gross? Like, just ask Jack Nicholson.
And many, many other dudes in horror movies.
Soon they're gone, and Stiles is left wondering what happened to his father. The episode ends there.
It's interesting that there's an episode that ends with Stilinski panicking that Stiles has been taken. And then there's this episode that ends with Stiles panicking that his father has been taken.
Yeah, I feel like this kidnapping is handled a lot better.
Yeah. It's like they rhyme, to use a George Lucas quote.
Oh, God, yeah.
That sucks so much.
So much. Ugh, that's not what rhyme is, buddy.
Nope. All right, Wolfies. Now we're going to jump over to our interview with Mieko Hillman, who played Deputy Tara Graham on Teen Wolf. Let's have a listen. Well, how did you get into acting?
I knew I wanted to be an actress since I was in first grade. I did. It was all from playing Wizard of Oz, and my friends picked me to be Dorothy, and we did a rendition of Wizard of Oz on the playground, and I just fell in love with it. And from then on, I knew I wanted to be an actress. And so from I would do drama classes in middle school and then high school. And then, and then I went to college, thought I was like, oh, maybe that was just a dream, and I was pre-med in college, and I was like, and then, and then I met a guy who was a genius, and we both were going to our counseling. Like, you go to counseling to to make sure you're taking this classes you're supposed to take and everything. And we came in together, but he had already graduated and was going to Johns Hopkins school and for grad school, and he was pre-med, and I was like, see, that's a doctor. That's a doctor. That's who I'd want my doctor to be. And I was like, I want to be an actress.
That's really interesting. You're not the first actor we've had on the show. When we spoke with Felicia Terrell, she talked about how she was like in finance and like just a whole other thing, and then was like, maybe acting, and discovers love. So I mean, that's so interesting how people get into the thing they love. That's so wonderful. So, and from such an early age, my gosh.
Yeah, and I was a dancer as a kid too. So I was, always in the entertainment world. So yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey.
So before we jump into the Teen Wolf specific stuff, I just wanted to say congrats on Nickelodeon's Young Dylan getting renewed for a third season.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a very fun show to shoot. I'm working with some brilliant kids. They're amazing. I mean, they have to, learn all their lines. And then Dylan is a rapper, so he does his raps and, works on his raps. And then Selena, she's a singer and she sings on the show as well. And Jet is amazing too. Like, they're all and Hero is amazing too. And so they're all wonderful kids that I get to work with. And my co-stars are really fun to work with as well. Carl, Anthony Payne, and Loma Wright. So I'm having a blast.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
So how did Teen Wolf come into your life?
I just auditioned. I got an audition and I went in and I was just like, okay. And, I was surprised. I kind of was surprised because it was for a deputy and I was like, really? Okay. But I did it and I got it and I was like really happy. And it was a really fun show to shoot.
Yes, it was.
Did you know anything about Teen Wolf before you went in, before you got the role, or?
Well, I've heard, I knew it was on TV. I knew of the movie back in the day. So that was how much I knew. Yeah. So, but they, really expanded it into like a whole world that I wasn't even aware of even existed. So it's really fun.
Yes, it's quite different from the movie. So
yeah. Very different. Very different.
But it's a pleasant surprise, though. At least for me, when I read the pilot, I was like, this is not at all what I thought it would be. And I'm so happy that it's not what I thought it would be. So.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like romantic in its own way, and like, grueling. And it was just really fun show.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was it like working with directors Tim Andrew and Russell Mulcahy?
So Tim, I felt like he was so easygoing. That's what my experience with him. It's just like easy, just talking, have a conversation. Okay, so we'll just do that. It was just very easygoing.
And what about Russell?
It was a little more intense. But I think the day that he directed, I think it was just like explosions going on and everything. So it was just a little more intense kind of scene. So that's, yeah. So then, the scenes were intense, and so was he. So yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah, Russell's got a big personality that fits in with the big aspects of the show. And
that's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so right. He does have a big, and I'm telling you, it was like explosions on that day. So like, what is happening? So.
Did you get any warning about your character's death, or was it a shock when you got the script?
It was a shock. No one told me. I mean, I already knew, it was going to be a 4-episode thing, but it could have been more, so you just don't know. And so I didn't know. I was just reading it. And then, so, whenever I get scripts, I get so excited to what am I going to do? And so when I was reading it, I was like, oh, I started out. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm throughout. What? And then I die. I literally said out loud, I die.
Oh no.
Oh
yes. So but then the creator came up to me the next day and was like, hey, did you I'm sorry, but we wrote you a great scene, didn't we? I was like, you did. So awesome, thank you so much. But it was a shock.
But you're in good company, though. Many people die on Teen Wolf, so
many.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's kind of fun doing a dying scene. It was fun.
Yeah, well, especially one where you're seeing you before it all happens and all this other. So it's it's not just a knife in the back or something. It's
right,
super creepy and moody. And
there's a lead in,
a psychological element.
Exactly. It was a lot. That day was so fun. That was a fun day to shoot. Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you, what was it like to film such a brutal death scene?
So let's see. I was just into it. I was more worried about holding the gun and looking realistic. That part. I mean, I've gone to shooting range before, and I was like, I can, and they, I read the scene. I was like, I'm gonna what? I have to do what? And then, so it was actually the props guy who handed me the gun, and he was he did the checks and everything like that, and he just saw the fear in my eyes of I don't know. And then he literally walked me through holding a gun, looking and everything like that, and we practiced it before I did the scene, and I was so grateful for it, for that, that he took out the time of what he was doing, and he just walked me through it and just held my hand through it. So I was really happy to see the end, the end result, and I was just so thankful for him, so grateful for him. Yeah,
that's awesome. Really on screen.
You look good on screen, so it all looks professional and real, and
it does. It's very
no, it was so,
about it.
I love being a badass. So that was probably the fun part. I hated to have to die, but like the heart, one thing about when I was laying on the ledge, that was actually the hardest part, because I had to keep my eyes open because they wanted my death with my eyes, and they're like, you're blinking. It was like freezing out that day. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm a human being. I'm actually alive. So that was probably the hardest part. But that day was the best, because I love action. I love, I'm a dancer. So I love anything with my body, that I have to do physically with my body. And it was just, it was such a great setup that they wrote. So I was really happy.
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's great.
Did you have any other like fun stories from set that you remember?
Let's see.
I know it's been a long time.
I know it has been a long time. I just remember, Lyndon, when he found out that I died, he just came up to me. He was like, he was so upset. He's like, I can't believe they did that to you. And then I was just like, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I'm really alive, but so like, I felt like I made connections that I didn't even know that I made. So that was really fun. Even on that day, the crew, they were really upset that I was leaving. And that amazed me, because I was like, what? My part wasn't huge. So sometimes you don't know how people are seeing you or experiencing you. So that just really touched my heart. Just the people who were upset that I was going to be leaving. That was, I don't know. It was something I didn't expect. So it was nice.
Very sweet.
Yeah, very sweet.
It was. I was really touched by, I was like, oh, okay.
I've heard a lot of people say that it was like a family, that's what it felt like. So that
it did feel like that. It really felt like that, because I know they were shooting in Atlanta before, because I shot in LA, and I think they really bonded while they were in Atlanta, and it did have a very family kind of feeling.
How would you compare the Teen Wolf set to other shows you've done, like Days of Our Lives or Young Dylan?
Okay, so with Days, that also is like a family, because I mean, some of them worked for like 30 years together. So that's just like you're in so that show, it was very fast. So it's just like you go in, you do your scene, you're out. And it's one of those jobs that you're just like, I just had a whole work day, and it's in and out kind of thing. Young Dylan, so we shoot on Tyler Perry Studios, and it's Tyler Perry's Young Dylan. So we shoot 20 episodes in 2 months.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
That's like Price is Right numbers.
Yeah.
Like how they shoot like 5 episodes in a day, and they shoot for 3 months, and you got like 3 years of content. It's just like, wow.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's intense. So this is what I'm saying. These kids are amazing, because they have way more lines than me, and they have to go to school.
Oh my God. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
Yes. So, and that Young Dylan, like, it's a family. Like, one of our directors, Chip Hurd, who is, do you know Kim Fields from Facts of Life?
No.
Am I aging myself?
No, I love Facts of Life, so
she's a big fan, so she's got to.
She played Tootie.
Okay, yeah, I know that character at least.
Okay. So anyway, that's her mom. Chip Hurd is her mom, and she's
wow.
Most of the episodes, and she's amazing, because she just makes the environment so nurturing and warm. So it's I love it. So it's this big family that I get to go, spend some time with.
That's wonderful.
That's very cool.
Is there an actor or character that you wish you could have shared some screen time with or more screen time with on Teen Wolf?
Yes, Lyndon. I wish we got to work more together. Like, I wish my character could have expanded and we had more of a, relationship or something. Like, he was so just wonderful, just a wonderful person. And so I wish we could have shared a little bit more. I wish they expanded our storyline or something.
Yeah. That would have been really cool to see.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see a lot of his relationship with deputies.
Yeah.
He went through them so quickly. He didn't have a high survival rate.
Yeah.
There was a high turnover rate of deputies due to death.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also played an officer in the movie Anniversary Nightmare.
Right.
Do you feel like playing Deputy Tara helped you prepare for that role?
Probably just just being comfortable, just knowing like I could do this, before when I did get the role, I was like, but now I think it did make me feel comfortable. Like I could do this. So
the episode that we just rewatched for the show, which was the one where your character had that death scene, is The Girl Who Knew Too Much. And on IMDb, that episode is rated 9 out of 10 stars with over 1,000 votes. It's in the top 20 highest rated Teen Wolf episodes and the top 4 for that season. What about that episode do you think resonated with viewers so much?
First of all, that's surprising. I don't pay attention to any of that. So that's really surprising. Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I knew the answer because I also rewatched it and I was like, what is it? I don't, maybe like as an audience, you feel you're in on the mystery and part of solving it. And there's so many different characters. So you're just kind of, you're in that unknown of who is it? Now, wait, they introduced this person, and then there's just relationships that happen that you're like, oh. So I don't know the answer, but I do know that kind of sucked me in.
Yeah.
It is a big episode for reveals. We get a couple of big where like the villain is revealed and a character learns kind of like what supernatural creature she is. And so there's a lot. And then Tara Graham dies right at the beginning. And so there's a lot happening in this episode.
Oh, we thought we were going to keep this deputy for a little while.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. So and I think a lot of the characters get playtime. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not just centered on one central story. It's just everywhere. Right. For some reason, I know I tend to like shows when they do that. So I get to know a little bit more about everyone else. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Too.
Yeah. Ensembles are fun, because there are so many people and there are so many different characters or so many different character combinations. And so like when you like multiple characters and they're all in scenes together or have storylines together, it's always a lot of fun.
It is because you get to see certain characters interact with other characters that you're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. So
you mentioned really enjoying filming the death scene. Was that your favorite scene to film, or was there another one?
That was my absolute favorite. I liked walking in the hall, like just looking. I like. It's weird. I know I'm an actress, but sometimes I like scenes that I don't have to talk in as much. I know for writers, you're probably like, come on, like words. Which that's fun too. But sometimes I just like being able to interact with the environment and just like really respond to what's going on. And because I'm actually really in the moment, because I don't know, it's more fun for me. It's more improv like, whereas sometimes when it's so many words, I can get like where I want it to be a certain way. And but so when it's without the words, it's just I'm just there and like moment to moment. So I find those scenes to be really fun. And then when I get to be a badass, that's awesome.
Who doesn't like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I think scenes like that don't have dialogue also kind of draw the viewer in, like you were saying about feeling part of the mystery, because it's like you're not listening, you're not like trying to make sure you catch every word and don't miss anything. You're just like in the moment and like what's around the corner. And I feel like it really draws the viewer in too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, because even when I watch, where you don't know what's going to happen to the person, you are drawn in. You don't wash your dishes at that moment.
Right. It's not a multitasking moment.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. So yes.
In addition to Teen Wolf, you worked on Flight of the Dead and the Nightmare Gallery. Would you like to do more horror projects in the future?
Yeah. I do like horror. I like all genres, really. I just have so much fun in doing all kinds of genres. I like romantic comedies. I like horror because you get to do things that you just don't see in real life, and you get to be very use your imagination, and you get to wear cool costumes.
Yes.
And there's something about when you have to dress up or when you have to put on certain gear or makeup or anything that just makes it so much more fun. Like everyone's involved, like everyone, not even just the actors, but even like you can feel the crew. They're just like into it. They're like, oh, that's cool. So it just draws a certain energy. So I do like horror films because of that.
They are the best. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our favorite genre.
We're huge horror fans.
Yeah.
So
I see.
This is kind of related to the horror genre. If you could be any Teen Wolf creature, what would you be?
Probably a wolf, werewolf, or like I just want to be a badass, just like.
It's a classic movie monster for a reason. Yep.
It's pretty cool. I think, yeah. I but if I were to be a superhero at all, I want to fly. Whatever I can do to fly.
Flying's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But yes, probably a werewolf for sure.
We were talking in a previous interview about how like none of the creatures on Teen Wolf fly. Right?
They kind of like jump a little.
Yeah.
They jump.
They do.
Yeah.
They can leap. They're like
Right.
the original Superman. He didn't fly. He leapt originally, but yeah. So
Did he really?
that's in like the song or the leaps over a tall building and all that is because originally he didn't fly. He just jumped really far.
Oh, that.
And then and then someone
like Jessica Jones.
Like Jessica Jones, and then someone was like, or he flies because that's cooler, and they're like, yeah, we should do that instead. So yeah,
It's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I want to be a werewolf that flies.
A flying werewolf.
A fly wolf.
I am here for it.
Yeah.
I am
That's
here for
something
that.
Something
Something
new.
I haven't seen.
Mhm.
That would be fun.
Yes, it would. Well, Mieko, do you have any upcoming projects you can tell us about?
Well, I just finished Young Dylan.
Mhm.
So right now, my project is to hang out with my family and have some me time.
That's a good one.
Yes.
The best one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think with these, these times, I haven't been able to do that. So that is a project. And I say a project because sometimes when I do spend time with my family, I'll be like, I have to do a self-tape. Sorry, guys, let me, go in the room and come back. But now I am literally like blocked out this time. This is family time. I'm not taking any calls or doing anything. So that's what
that's
I'm looking forward
lovely.
to.
Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Enjoy.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Well earned. So
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Well, Mieko, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure.
Yeah, this has been
Oh,
awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you
We were
for
so-
inviting me. That was so unexpected and wonderfully received.
All right, Wolfies, that wraps up the beta section for The Girl Who Knew Too Much. And now we're about to dive into spoilers, not just for this episode, but for the whole Teen Wolf series. If you want to stay spoiler-free for all of the excellent stories to come, jump out now and we'll catch you next week. But if this isn't your first time in Beacon Hills and you want to hear more, Don't move a muscle. Here comes the alpha.
Unbelievable. You have no idea what you are, do you? The wailing woman. A banshee right before my eyes. You're just like me, Lydia. Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it.
I'm surprised they did the Darach reveal and the Banshee reveal back to back.
Yeah.
That is really surprising from like a pacing perspective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think maybe the Banshee should have come in the last episode and just kept it as a season out type of thing, where it's like a truth is revealed and it's like, well, what happens next? Because now it's like, what happens next? We have 3 episodes left and we don't really get revelations from it. It's like, hey, you're a thing. Can't wait till next season when we talk about it some more.
Right.
You know, so it's like, yeah.
I think Jennifer should have used it. I know she planned to kill Lydia here, but once she doesn't, I think she should have used it as like more of a bargaining chip of like, if you let me go or if you like do whatever to help me, I will tell you what you are. Don't you want to know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been fun. I like that.
Like, she's like, I'm going to tell you, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to kill you too.
Which is just your classic, like, I'm going to kill you, Mr. Bond. Yeah, where it's like, since I'm going to kill you, I'm going to tell you my entire plan.
I like that idea that maybe Jennifer was cornered, you know, and she's like, and whatever, like, however she would be able to escape. She's like, let me get out of here and I'll tell you exactly what you are, you know, and that would have been fun because at least then it's not this character doing the same thing we see all the time, but instead you put all the initiative in Lydia's corner, where it's like she can kind of end this now, or she can learn this thing that's kind of driving her crazy all season.
Make a choice,
right?
Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah,
and they could have still introduced it here if she's like, oh my god, you have no idea what you are, do you?
Right.
And then Lydia's like, no, and then she, you know, Jennifer's like, well, you'll never know. And then gets back to trying to kill her, because it's, I mean, I know that the villain plans to kill the person anyway, but it still feels like, why did you take the time to do this again?
Not good at murder whenever you just like just drawing it out.
Yeah, so like I feel like it would have worked so much better if she was like, now you'll never know what you are.
Yeah.
You know, and then it comes back again. Or Lydia brings it up again, where she's like, I want you to tell me what I am. And that Jennifer's like, well, that's going to cost you.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been fun.
And then like others are like, we don't even know if we can trust her. She's a murderer. Like,
right.
Yeah, I think it could have been a very interesting dilemma for them, and particularly for Lydia.
Yeah.
Instead of just being told right after we found out who the Darach is.
Yeah, no, because that would have been great. Because like if the Darach's in the wind, then someone could have said to her what no one ever said to Scott, which was, if she kills someone, it's kind of like your fault, you know. And then so that's the thing, like it's like, because we know Jennifer wants to kill people, she's been killing people all season, so now it's kind of like this pins and needles thing that's like, you know, and like now Lydia's kind of losing her mind a little bit more, because it's like every time the phone rings or something like that, it's like, is it a body drop? Is like, is this the fruits of my horrible labor? And yeah.
You know what the problem would be with that is it would kind of underscore the fact that they've allowed Peter and Gerard to live.
Yeah, it would.
Because then it would kind of be like, I mean, if I were Lydia and Scott was saying to me, you know, if you decide to spare her, then blood will be on your hands. I'd be like, really?
It's like, really?
You went to see Gerard and like, then you left. And it was that was just the end of that. Apparently didn't even check to see if he was dead, like after your master plan. And then when you realized he definitively wasn't, what'd you do? Nothing.
Yeah.
I feel, you know, you can't really have a character make that statement when there are already known killers just running around.
But it would have been good drama. Unfortunately,
I mean,
they didn't do that.
Peter, you could get past, because it'd be like, well, we did actually kill him once.
That's true.
And the only way he came back by using Lydia, and he could probably do that again, and it would just put her through hell. So like I'll allow that one, but like Gerard, come on.
No, absolutely. It's like we killed Peter and then shenanigans.
It didn't take.
But you're right. It's different where it's like, oh, well, in our previous adventure, the killer got away and we didn't follow the trail of black blood. If we had, it would have just taken us to an old folks home and we could have just smothered him with a pillow. But yeah. No, you're right.
So yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, in a perfect world, you could have that dilemma, but can you do that when there are other loose ends that would really just underscore?
Yeah. No, you can't. Unfortunately. But yeah, that would have been fun. That would have been good.
Could Dean have just told Lydia at any point in time that she was a banshee?
Does Deaton know?
I mean, he's an emissary, so you would think like, I was thinking she knew because it's like the kind of knowledge like an emissary would know.
Oh, I mean, we don't really get any context for why she knows, do we?
Well, hasn't she kind of put it together that she showed up when people were going to die? Because she says that. Oh wait, no, that was Allison. I guess, does she know? I'm guessing that she knows about Lydia showing up places, like where the sacrifices have happened and all that. So she's the woman who leads to death and all that.
I mean, we all have that information. Like that wouldn't make her more in the know than anybody else.
That's
accurate. I assumed like it was kind of because emissaries have to seem to have like so much knowledge about like supernatural across the board. I feel like Dean and Morel would probably already know this, but just haven't told her, which I understand Morel's like barely like involved with them. But it does seem like Dean should tell her.
I don't think R2-D2 is going to tell anybody anything.
Yeah, he doesn't tell anyone anything. I thought that Jennifer knew because she's like a classics nerd.
I think it was like an emissary thing.
Lydia is also a classics nerd, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's established that she reads both classical and archaic Latin. I don't know, does she read ancient Greek? Maybe that's the real question here. Yeah, we never actually get more context for why Jennifer knows that, which this has definitely been a season full of like, how did this person know this? Or does this person know that? Like, yeah. It's just, I think just because there's so much going on, like season 1 obviously had the cleanest mystery.
Yeah.
Season 2 was more complex, and 3A is definitely more complex than that. And there were so many plate spinning, so to speak, that I feel like a lot of connective tissue ended up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Or even before that point, like never filmed.
Yeah.
Because there just wasn't time for it. And, you know, that definitely happened in the earlier seasons too, but it definitely feels to me like 3A is the point where it really stood out that characters are having conversations that we are not privy to.
Yeah.
That are important conversations, right? Because just in this episode, we were talking about how Stiles went to his dad and told him about his sacrifices theory.
Yeah.
Off screen.
Yeah.
There's also the scene in this very episode where it's revealed that Aiden knows stuff that happened in season 2 and we have no idea why.
Yeah.
There's a lot this season of people just knowing things for reasons that we don't ever get to find out about. And I feel like this is just another instance of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because it doesn't come back up. You know, it's just like, I mean, they talk about it, but they're never, how did she know? What is this? And no one ever asked Jennifer again,
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Which seems like, I know there's a lot going on, but it seems like Lydia would have wanted to try to find out more from her.
Yeah.
Maybe she does, and it's just off screen.
Yeah.
But speaking of Deaton withholding information, and it's just so funny to me that there's so much of, Scott and Stiles being like, wow, Darach is the worst because he won't tell us things. Like, Deaton won't tell you guys anything either, and y'all love him for some reason.
He's a father figure to Scott.
Okay.
Because like a father, he withholds things
and distant
that we need. So since we're talking about father figures, this is the episode where Sheriff Stilinski finds out about the supernatural.
Finally.
This has been seasons in the making.
Yeah. I really don't like that scene.
So actually, I guess it's 3 big reveals.
Yeah, there's a lot happening in this episode.
And then one to another character.
Yeah.
I just don't care for that scene because it's...
Which scene are we talking about?
The one where Stiles tells Stilinski and all that. Just because I'm like, you've got a werewolf there. Do something werewolfy. Why are we hemming and... I know why we're hemming and hawing. I get it. I understand. But I'm just like, stop that. Stop that. I know what you're building to. You're building towards finally being like, Cora, just show him the thing, and she passes out. And it's like, that's why you did this. I got it. But I'm just like, stop. Don't do that. You have incontrovertible proof of something that exists in your hand. Just show the thing and explain it later. It's like
the only preamble that you need is don't freak the out.
Could you remove the clip from your handgun and then the bullet from the chamber, please? And just set them aside. This is very weird, Stiles. It ain't weird yet. We're getting there, and it's just like, I feel like you could have gotten more drama out of that. Like, I feel like you could have had better. I feel like in a supernatural show, granted, Stilinski isn't in there yet. He's not part of the world yet. So his, kidding me things, like, I got it. Okay. But I'm just like, I would much rather have fear and shock as a reaction than just him going like, so the thing is the thing, and it being like, oh no, he's the kinema, not the, all that nonsense, where I'm just like, this isn't even funny, actually. It's just like, I'd much rather have a much more grandiose reaction from a character from this instead of just, because based on that cut, and in an uncertain amount of time has gone by, probably an hour at least, knowing how Stiles and how he speaks, so it's just show her, bare her claws, have her cut her arm, and then it heals in a thing.
I actually think if they wanted to include a bit of humor, what they could have done is have Cora be like, oh my god, this is taking too long, and then Stiles be like, no, and then she does it, because he wanted there to be more like context so his dad wouldn't freak out. But Cora's a Hale, and Hales be impatient.
They don't understand patience.
They do not have the time.
If they can't backflip into exposition, they are gonna get pissed.
So what was Scott doing during all of this?
He was with Coach. And he was going to go, remember, he was going to go talk with Morel.
With Morel, but that is like a 5-minute scene of him and Morel. Like, it wasn't like it took up his entire afternoon, and then we don't see him again until the recital, right?
Yeah, we don't see him until everybody's
I feel like they needed to
take the afternoon off.
He was sleeping.
I feel like the implication is that the conversation did last longer. We just didn't see all of it. Because it's not like we see Scott leave her office. The scene just cuts.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's weird that we don't get anyone else talking about Cora in the hospital.
Somebody told Darach off screen.
Yeah. So did Stiles just call Darach and tell him his sister was in the hospital? What happened when Darach got there? Was Darach she's a werewolf? I don't understand why she's not healing, or she's a werewolf, we don't need to put her in a hospital.
Or she's a werewolf, what if she heals? Then what the hell will we do?
And Melissa should be at the hospital. We don't get anything with Melissa interacting with Stiles, or
Well, we've already discussed how much we would all kill to have more scenes with Melissa and Darach. So this
Yeah.
could have been a wonderful opportunity for that.
Yeah, that would have been
more
great.
scenes. Like, did we determine they had one?
Well, we
It was cut.
realized that there was just the one
Oh.
scene because we thought they hadn't ever
Yeah.
had a scene together. And then when we got to the one episode in season 2 that where they were both in the same scene, we were like, oh, we forgot this happened. But we always wanted there to be like more interaction between them.
Yeah. No, it would have been good.
With Stilinski finding out, I know that they really wanted to get to that beat of mom would have believed me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do get that because it's emotional and it's dramatic and it's good. I just feel like the parts of, like you said, of Stilinski just not believing, I don't know what the purpose of that was, because they were explaining stuff that we as the audience already knew anyway.
Yeah, it's right. And there's nothing more boring than explaining something that the audience already knows.
So they easily could have just done the same scene essentially, but instead of having all the explanation, he starts to explain and Cora's like, nope, that, I'm gonna shift.
Yeah.
But then realizes she can't and collapses.
Yeah, that could have done it where at least someone's making a decision and like jumping in. And I think you still could have had that if like they were like building towards mom would have believed or whatever. I think you still have a variation of that where you know, like instead of all the hemming and hawing, it's just Cora does the thing and freaks Stilinski out and all that. And then that could be the end of a scene. And then you have a scene where like Stiles is chasing after his dad. He's like, no, dad, you don't understand. She's totally cool. It's like, and Scott, he's like, it's Scott, and all this type of stuff. And then where he's just kind of freaking out. And then you could have like Stilinski say something like, I don't understand any of this. And then you could have, I think Stiles be like, mom would have understood or something. I think you could have still had that and expediency, or just characters doing the thing they should do. It is a heartbreaking moment though.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's really good.
So, okay, in season 2, episode 1, titled Omega, we learn that Omegas are lone wolves. They're wolves without packs. And was it in Search for a Cure? Yeah, where we talk about like Omega wolves in real life and how they are like the pack bitch,
Yeah,
and
that was in Search for a Cure, I think.
And we talked about like, we can't do that with human beings. Otherwise, they're just all assholes. And it's like, well, you can't have that. Until this episode, when apparently the twins were in a pack where they were the Omegas and not lone wolves, and they were kind of like the pack bitches. And so, yeah, the Omega mythology is switched up in this episode. I don't feel like this is a retcon so much as I think they wanted to have the twins be outsiders in their pack, and they wanted to have a name for it. And they're, well, Omega's a thing already that we've used, and in real life that's kind of what we want to describe them as. What do y'all think about that, kind of giving this new aspect to Omega mythology?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I feel like, to your point, well, you said you didn't feel like it was a retcon per se. I feel like maybe what they were trying to do was say that like being an Omega is just the bottom rung of like werewolf society.
Yeah.
And that can come about either because you reject the pack structure altogether, or in asshole packs because you're treated like you have no worth in pack society.
Yeah.
But we really don't get a lot more information about like what this new meaning of Omega means for our understanding of werewolf culture, so to speak.
I don't believe it comes back up ever again.
That's what I was going to ask, and why I thought, that it would be worth potentially discussing in the alpha section. Does it come up ever
I don't
again?
remember ever. I know Omegas come up later, but they're always like lone wolves. I don't remember Omegas being mentioned as just being punching bags, like pack punching bags. And like, this is the only time I remember that from the show. And it kind of surprised me when we were rewatching, because I was like, oh, wait, what? Because that's not what we established in the previous season. And then, but I remembered, Search for the Cure, but it's like, and I think Search for the Cure is canon. Like, I mean, it doesn't ever get brought up again. It's like, even when, I think even when John Posey shows up, on the show, I could be wrong. I don't remember Scott being like, that guy. Or so it's like I think it works as canon. I mean, you can take it out if you want and the story's fine, but
right.
So it's just like, yeah, we don't really talk about this again.
I wonder if you could kind of integrate those two ideas of what an Omega can be. If this is gonna seem really random, but I swear I have a point. You know how there's sort of a whole thing with like serial killers sometimes will like target people that they feel like won't be missed or like that people won't look for, that kind of taking advantage of someone who's in a vulnerable position in society. Maybe it's kind of the same thing with Omegas, where it's like you can choose to be a lone wolf, or you might end up a lone wolf through circumstances, but it's kind of a vulnerable position to be in. And so there are werewolves, or maybe even other creatures that want to have this sort of punching bag, but they figure they can't get away with treating a beta, or certainly not another alpha, that way. So they just will go try to find Omegas that they can snatch up and abuse because there's no one out there to look for them.
Yeah. No, I think that totally works. Yeah. I think that this new information can be integrated with that. Fine. Like I said, like it doesn't feel like a retcon, and it definitely feels like the way you're laying it out, I think works perfectly, and they just go hand in hand.
Like to the pack, they wouldn't consider Omegas part of the pack. Like these are lone wolves that we've picked up for when we need a punching bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously that's only something that like shitty packs would do. Obviously, an alpha like Talia Hale wouldn't ever do something like that, and would definitely whoop some ass if she knew that kind of stuff was going on in her territory.
Oh yeah.
But there are bad apples that will just go scoop up Omegas for nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to the twins. Like they were lone wolves that got unlucky.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel like that's how Ethan describes it, because he talks about them like his pack.
Yeah.
But I just want to reframe it in a way that fits with what we've already established in this version of werewolf mythology.
Yeah.
That concludes this week's episode of Return to Beacon Hills. We hope you had as much fun listening as we did talking about all things Teen Wolf. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at RTBH Podcast, and Tumblr and TikTok at Return to Beacon Hills. If you'd like to ask us questions or offer suggestions for future topics to discuss, you can email us at returntobeaconhills@gmail.com. Join us here next week when we discuss Season 3, Episode 10, The Overlooked. Rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast goodness. 5-star reviews get a shout out. Have a great week, and we'll see you again soon on Return to Beacon Hills.
Dude, it's Beacon Hills.